Hello, hello. Let's get our Facebook groups going and then start the show. All right. Let's get these guys going. Oh, man. My goodness. Come on, Facebook. All right. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. It's just me today. No Scott. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. We tried to do the thing. Oh, better move my mic to me. Tried to do the thing where the baby doesn't wake up when I wake up. And of course, when I'm about to come downstairs and record the show, he wakes up and wife's busy. So guess who gets stuck feeding? Happy to do it. But we're here right now, hanging out. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good weekend and good to see you today. We got Jeremy coming in, says, "Morning, boys. I'm really enjoying these disrespectful offseason takes from the national media. Set expectations low while providing plenty of bulletin board material." Yeah, I mean, Denver is not going to be considered a very highly thought of team this season. That's okay. I mean, I've said it on here a few times. If they do anything beyond their Vegas win total, it's gravy for me this year. I don't have high expectations for them in the win-loss column, but that is not a I don't think that's crap talking them, in my opinion. I think it's a team that has a lot of question marks, is missing a lot of young ascending talent because of the Wilson and Peyton trades, and has a huge dead cap hit. So my expectations are low from the win-loss column, but that's okay. You can have expectations and outcomes and parameters you're looking to set and see that are beyond the final baseline of win loss. It's a building block season for me, without a doubt. Dave Glassman comes in and says, "Need my Nick and Scott fix." Nick will only have to do. Man, that's how I feel like most people feel that way too. We got Mile High Salute says, "How are we doing today? I hope you're doing well." Dave, you sound like a junkie, but you have a thing for Nick. He's getting the itch, right? I need some Nick in here. Hope you're doing well. Big Nick energy, right? Almost 8 a.m. Nick's goal is whittling down the posket. Just 20 minutes takes another hit. I was trying to be a good spouse and father for that one, but life is that was definitely frustrating this morning. But we're here. We're hanging out. Colin Wood says, "Geez, how many of these shows are about somebody said the Broncos suck for some reason?" I I don't know. That's a lot of what's going on. I mean, it is June, right? And it's a lot of the big picture stuff. And Denver's not a highly thought of team. So that's kind of where we are right now in the cycle until real new football starts. But hey, if there's anything else specifically you want me to touch on uh, in these, 45-minute formats, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter for sure. Dave Glassman with the laughing. Good to see you. Colin says, "When you give away 2 years of top draft picks and a boatload of money for a guy who cut, what do you expect?" Exactly, Colin. And also not really hitting above expectation in those 2 draft classes where you gave up a lot of picks as well. So we need things to change around pretty here soon. Adam Strange says, "What's up, Broncos country?" Mike Evans may only last 10 minutes today. That's what she said. Good to see you, Mike. Hope you're doing well. Dave also comes in and says, "Just stopping by. Have a great show. Great to see you." Zach Powers. Morning. Good to see you, Zach. Divine coming in here saying, "Top of the morning. We're the hosts. The hosts are here. We were taking care of business. Hope you're doing well." Divine comes in and says, "Slow season. What's your background, Nick? Profession, education? How'd you end up with MHH?" I work in clinical trials. I am a master's degree of science in epidemiology with a focus in infectious disease. I work in a number of vaccine trials as well as prep as well, HIV medication prevention. So do that. And as far as MHH, I was writing just for fun on like comments on Facebook about the draft process in general. And Chad found me and messaged me and says, "Hey, do you write for anybody?" I'm like, "No, I just, for fun and really enjoy football and the draft process." And he said, "Do you want to write for us?" I'm like, "Sure." And that was, God, it had been lead up to the 2017 draft. Actually, right after the 2016 draft. And here we are. So it's been a lot of fun. It's crazy how time flies. Unfortunately, I have not covered a winning record Bronco team, I think. Is that true? Definitely not a playoff team because 2016 they were above 500, but I covered like right after that season. Maybe I'm the bad luck here, guys. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's slow season, but we're hanging out and we're having fun and a lot of things to look forward to, in my opinion. I don't know, trying to be realistic about my expectations, but also paint them in a positive light because, again, it's like I said, I'm not as much about the win-loss record this season as individual young players ascending and having a direction, having an identity, finding the answer at quarterback. Those are all things that really matter to me. You know what else matters to me? Giving us a like on Facebook or YouTube if you're joining us today. That would help us a heck of a lot. Not everybody can be a superstar. Like our guy Troy Boer coming in and says, "Hey, Nick, can you talk about how the quick pass game helps the run game and deeper passes? And does it affect the defense?" Thank you. Oh, man, you'd have to have somebody a lot smarter than me with like graphics and like plays to really get into this. But how does the pass game help the run game? Specifically, you should be able to target the linebackers. That is really where football is at right now in the offense exploitations of defenses, is trying to take advantage of the space in the middle of the field. So you have the Vic Fangio tree where you're coming from a lot of match quarters, two high safety shells, disguising coverage on the back end. Are they going to, the two safeties going to stay deep? Is one going to rotate down post snap? And then the cornerbacks also playing deep. A big vacation from the cover three that you saw during the Legion of Boom. Also, a lot more sub package stuff going on. So wider boxes, more space in the middle of the field. That's why quarterbacks that are struggling are the ones somewhat like Russell Wilson, who very dependent on the deep ball and broken plays. You got to be able to hit the consistent, on time, middle of the field, quick game passes right now and be able to find that stuff pre-snap as well based on what the defense shows. Although defenses are doing a pretty darn good job of making everything look the same pre-snap these days. It's from the coverage to pressure as well as simulated pressures. But if you're able to attack those linebackers and get them thinking and their head spinning, then that should help the run game. You know, if it's a play action look, which that's probably my biggest critique of Sean Payton, is if you don't see a high level of play action, a high percentage of play action passes compared to the rest of the league. And I'm a huge play action fan. But you're attacking the linebackers there. And if you're really efficient in the quick game, you can make the linebackers have to think, pause a little bit, question their assignment, give them some eye candy. So that should help the run game in general. It also can help wear down the defensive line as well. It takes a lot more energy as a pass rusher than a run defender. So sometimes you can, cheat a little bit on your gap and try to get over because you think, oh, it's a pass because they've been killing us a quick game. Then you have the run game going. As far as the deep game, how it opens that up, if you're efficient underneath and you keep killing them by 1,000 paper cuts, a lot of times defenses are going to start to get a little bit impatient. They're going to start to maybe change their coverages to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe get some cover one, some press man, 5-man rush looks. And when you can time that up correctly, then you can hit a deep shot. There's a lot of strategy, obviously, in football. It's one thing that makes it. There's obviously strategy in baseball and basketball as well, but not the play design to the same extent, the execution of like a battlefield strategy, right? So those are areas where the quick game can really make things efficient. The other thing is, if you're executing the quick game at a high level, you should be staying ahead of the sticks. And that was something that Denver really struggled with last season. They were the worst team in football, I think, on 3 and outs. I know specifically in the second half, maybe the whole game, but definitely they struggled in 3 and outs. And a big reason for that is because they had so long to go on third down. You were taking sacks. You weren't efficient in the run game or the quick pass game. You're living and breathing on big plays a lot of the time. So if you are efficient in the quick game, you can get yourself third and short, second and medium, and that opens up your whole playbook, right? So, I mean, it's just think about it from a defensive perspective. How hard is it to stop defenses from 3rd and 2 compared to 3rd and 9? You're just what you can call and what you can do is totally different on both sides of the ball. So really, it should help things up. It's kind of like, getting on base, in my opinion. You want to be able to hit singles, take walks every once in a while and then hopefully cash in on those home runs later. It can't be, I think, everything your offense is. I don't think you can purely function on only the quick pass game unless you have an unbelievable bevy of weapons and an all-time cerebral quarterback. I think of Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning. Those guys were able to use the quick pass game to a level that I can't even think of another quarterback that fits before my time, although the game's changed so much. Those are the 3 that come to mind. And you can almost use the quick pass game to run through the air, but you still have to be able to hit explosives. So really, really important stuff. And hopefully it'll help everything take the load off a little bit for the Broncos. Talking about superstars coming in, super chats. We got Michael Ronquillo says, "Good morning, Nick on Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos." Thank you so much, Michael. We always appreciate you coming in bright and early from Tucson. Mr. Roush coming in says, "Morning Broncos for breakfast." Pearl Heater coming in with our our favorite corgi enthusiast and breeder. Good to see you, Pearl. Hope you're doing well. Always appreciate you coming in and saying hello. And always appreciate the corgi picks too. I don't know. I feel like we had some corgi slander in here sometime. We just like dogs, folks. We just like dogs. Dogs, cats, all animals. Big fan. Scott's even a bigger animal lover than I am. Adam Strange says, do you think the Broncos front seven will provide a lot of pressure? I still don't think they have that true alpha pass rusher that makes everything click. I think that's probably something that I'm going to be banging the drum for this offseason in the draft. I'm expecting Denver to probably have a top 10 draft pick. And with that, there should be some serious options in the pass rush department. So I think that they will be better than last season. Baron Browning's healthy. He's probably their most talented edge rusher. Benito entering year 3. He was pretty good last season. I don't think he's a 3-down player, but pretty good. Ellis has apparently been standing out. You added a little bit more defensive line talent as well. So they should be better. I think the back 7 has taken probably more steps back than the defensive front has taken forward, but the defensive front is more valuable and impactful. So probably it's a wash in the end, in my opinion, but we'll see how it goes on. And Denver have 4-3 defense. They're more 3-4, but everybody is hybrid these days. It's more 4-2-5. Honestly, you're playing more sub package. Teams are playing sub package and first down. These days, they're treating first down like pass downs. They're using blitz packages on first and second down like pass downs. Denver was one of the highest blitz rate teams in first and second down last season, but dropping a lot on third down. So we'll see. Maybe their defensive line talent allows them to change things. Maybe losing Jewell and Simmons changes things. We'll see. Greg Smith says, good morning. Good to see you. Got our guy Naj coming in with the super chats. Thank you so much, Naj. 1999. You guys love me. It's not just Scott, it's me. No, thank you so much, Naj. Says, hey, brother, hopes all is well with the fam. How are you feeling about VJ year 2 of his scheme? See you on September 15th. Yes, I will be there working out the details right now. Vance Joseph's very much on the hot seat, right or wrong. Probably more so right than wrong. I think he's pretty mediocre. I think he's fine, but he's not really an innovator. I don't see much coming from that special, but also I don't think the talent on the defense is overwhelming either. So I don't see just a lot of avenues for success for him this season, unfortunately. Last season, Denver went on that crazy, unsustainable turnover run, more so with fumbles and interceptions. And once that dried up, which was always going to happen, the defense regressed pretty quickly. Not as bad as they were the first 5 weeks, but probably in the 25 to 20th ranked defense in football from the Texans game on. I mean, Detroit took them to the woodshed and battled them. So we'll see if that can change a little bit this season. As far as year 2, I think he's very much set up to be the main scapegoat's the wrong word because he does deserve blame and should shoulder some of the blame. But if things go south this season, I'm probably expecting most of it to fall on the defense and a lot of the blame to fall on the defense. And you already have a guy there that you might be interested in setting up. So if things are bad from the defense, if they're a bottom 10 defense 8 weeks through the season, 10 weeks through the season, Vance Joseph could be gone. You could see Jim Leonard in there who could be set up to be the next defensive coordinator, at least get some run there. So we're on Vance Joseph watch, no doubt. He comes into the season with a hot seat, without a doubt. Roy Osborne says, good morning, Nick. Great to see you. Pearl says, new puppy and coming in August. That's awesome, Pearl. Have fun with that. Send a lot of pictures. We got Alex Barrios coming in. Says, good morning, Nick. I need to see a win. I'm 0-2 in games I've attended the last 2 years. What game were you likely to win this year? Please say Steelers week 2. Oh, man. Broncos schedule. I mean, the one that I would probably say is the most likely to win is the Carolina game at Denver. I mean, Carolina is really bad. I mean, Bryce Young looked horrible. Jesus, man. They got to be kicking themselves taking him over CJ Stroud. So that's one I think is likely a win. Vegas week 5. I know Denver hasn't beaten Vegas in a long time, but every game is a reset, right? It's a recast of the dice. And Vegas is not a very good team on paper. That doesn't mean they can't, for some reason, stop beating the Broncos, or Denver can't beat them for some God knows reason. But those are the 2 games that stand out to me. Maybe the Steelers, week 2, coming to Mile High early on. That's a team that's going to be a little bit new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. Defense is getting a lot older as well. Young pieces on the offensive line, which tend to be ones that you really get more benefit. They're an investment, right? You get more benefit year 3 or 4 of their contract versus the first 2 years, and they've used first-round picks back-to-back seasons. So setting up, but I don't know if you're going to get the full benefit this season. So maybe the Steelers week 2 as well, but I would probably say the Raiders game and the Panthers game, if you need a must-win That said, Alex, Denver Broncos in the Mile High Huddle meetup, they're like 0-5. They broke my curse. I was like 0-9 or something going to Bronco games. It was crazy. And then I went to the Mile High meetup last season and saw Denver beat Green Bay. So magic, whatever you want to call it, their good voodoo beat my bad voodoo. So hopefully we're doing well. Colin says, so I guess we'll be drafting second next year after the Panthers. I don't know if they'll be drafting second. If they do, I mean, we'll have to see how the season plays out. They're probably going to be picking somewhere in the 6 to 12 range, but they have so many question marks. You have a rookie quarterback. You got a lot of moving pieces, new pieces as well. Let's just let it play out. Right now, if you want to be optimistic or pessimistic, the results are going to be the results. So we'll take it as it comes and see what happens. And yeah, there's definitely already mock drafts out there. I saw a 2026 mock, Colin. I'm sure you're screaming hearing that. But let's talk about today's topic. Again, unfortunate negativity, but Sports Illustrated. We're under the Sports Illustrated banner here at Mile High Huddle, and we talked about Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterback with Albert Breer, Connor Orr, Gilbert Mazzano, and Matt Verderame, all Monday Morning Quarterback staff writers for Sports Illustrated, did their least improved teams from this season. And the first one kicking off here from Matt Verderame. Apologize if I mispronounced that. He says the Denver Broncos, and it makes sense. Why I agree with the first part of his comments, but want to get into the second part. I think that's where I really have a different line than him. He comes in and says the Broncos absorbed $85 million in dead money over 2 years after the release of Russell Wilson, and the replacement plans includes a depth chart of first-round pick Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson. Clearly, the Broncos are resetting the franchise. The problem is Denver is short on young talent because of that aforementioned trade, along with dealing away premium capital to acquire coach Sean Payton. I agree with everything so far. Quarterbacks, positions in flux. We'll see with Bo Nix. Not excited about Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson. God, Bo Nix, please hit. That'll change things dramatically, obviously, folks. And then also, Denver missing draft picks. You not only are your 2022 and 2023 draft classes very sparse right now as far as impact. We'll see about 2023. Drew Sanders already out for the year. That really sucks. Marvin Mims has been talked highly of from people. We need Mims to really come out and be a good wide receiver this season, folks. Man, do we need that. But you're missing just so many premium draft picks on young, cost-controlled contracts that it's hard to build a good roster that way unless you're hitting way above expectation later in the draft. And so far, those two draft classes, not the case. I mean, we'll see how it changed out. Way too early to write off 2023, 2022. Mathis, Wazarike, Dulcich. Benito's been fine. He's honestly, I think, been a slight above draft slot hit for him, but the rest of the class, not so much. So I agree with everything that Matt said there. The next part, though, really disagree, and you guys can let me know in the comments as well. He says the Broncos are doing the right thing by stripping down the roster, but they should have gone further. Trade Sutton for a pick or two. Trade Patrick Surtain for a haul. See what the market is for anybody with value. The Broncos are without a doubt resetting to an extent. You cannot say they're not resetting with the $85 million cap hit and how they approach the offseason, trying to still field a competitive roster, an ascending roster. But this isn't an all-in team this season, and I think that's fine to say. If that paints me as negative in your view, then so be it. We have a different perspective. But I really disagree with his take about the all-out fire sale. Now, I think that where Denver's at in a team-building process, they were listening to offers for everybody. We'll pick up the phone. Doesn't mean we're selling, but we'll pick up the phone and just see what the market says. And if somebody called in and is like, listen, we'll give you 3 first-round picks and 2 seconds for Patrick Surtain, crap. I mean, that's probably a future Hall of Fame level cornerback, but we are probably 2-3 years away at this point right now. We're not in the business of trading away young, talented players because we're already missing young, talented players, but that can really change the direction of the franchise and give you a chance to reset to a big extent. So that offer obviously didn't come. Cortland Sutton as well. Trade him for 2 picks. What were the picks that were being offered for Sutton? Were you getting offered a 5th and a 7th? You still have 2 years of control with him at market value. And if he plays as well as he did last season, even a little bit more on time, maybe a little bit less in the touchdown department, but higher in the per reception, per game efficiency in the receiving stats, he's worth his contract. And you have 2 years of control with hardly any guarantees left. It's the reason he's been sitting out, wanting a new contract. So I disagree with Matt's take here that Denver should have just sold everybody for whatever they could possibly get to reset. I'm fine with the reset perspective this offseason. It was needed. I mean, you pretty much had no choice moving on from Russell Wilson, but you shouldn't just be giving away assets to give away assets, especially when you still have control. Surtain's super valuable. You obviously don't just want to give him away. And Sutton, again, we see what the wide receiver market is right now. Guys like Calvin Ridley are getting massive deals. Jerry Jeudy got a massive deal. I wouldn't just give away Sutton to give away Sutton when you have 2 years of control left. We'll see if the Denver's like starts off, I don't know, 1-6 or 2-7 or whatever it is when the deadline happens. Maybe you reevaluate the Sutton trade then, because you'll have less control. You have a lot of leverage in the contract because he has no guaranteed money. You can eat some to get higher picks in return. But I don't think that I agree with Matt to the extent that Denver should just trade, no matter what the return is. No doubt they're listening to calls, but that doesn't mean they should have to give them away if they don't view the trade as being worth it. So that's my perspective here from Matt. You guys let me know in the chat as well what you think. Again, is Denver the least improved team in football? I mean, we're question mark about quarterback. A lot of people in Broncos country are saying Bo Nix will be an improvement over Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson obviously was not what Denver signed up for, but he was still probably, 15th to 20th best quarterback in football. If we get that from Bo Nix this season, that'd be fantastic. It's not a guarantee, I guess, is the main thing I'm trying to say here. Whoever's starting at center is probably not likely going to be an improvement over Cushenberry. You paid Mustafa nothing. Forsyth, we'll see. Who's the other one? Wattenberg, we'll see. Tight end room is the same. Maybe Dulcich steps up, but are you banking on an injury guy? I don't know. I think it's probably maybe a wash with Reynolds and Mims losing Jeudy. I mean, again, we saw what Jeudy got paid, but that's wait and see as well. Defense, I think I can say pretty surely that Barton/Griffith is probably going to be a step down from Jewell, and whether it be Moss or Locke will be a step down from Simmons, and toss in Jones as well. Defensive line, I think, is the one area where I can pretty definitively say they took a step forward this season. But again, you're up against it. You're missing multiple high draft picks, $85 million dead cap hit. This was always likely. It'd be shocking if they didn't. So we'll see what happens. We got a lot of question marks, but that means there's a lot of room to beat expectations as well. So Roy comes in. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Roy. I don't know if we said hello to you yet. We also got DJ Capo coming in. Says we'll beat Vegas this year. Chargers, Steelers, Saints, and KC. I love the last one there, DJ. Let's just get that week 1 win in Seattle. I don't know if I can take all the people coming at me out here. We got Jeremy says, I think we're underestimating this year's team. Vibes are better than they have been in years. I hope so. Jeremy. I am very much wait and see. On paper, they do not look like a good team to me, but again, we're dealing with not a very clear picture of a lot of these guys. So Ready Golf comes in and says wide receiver outlook. There's been some Vele optimism. Granted, he's a 27-year-old rookie out of Utah, but we'll see. Maybe he makes the roster. Haven't heard much about Brandon Johnson or Jalen Virgil, but there's special teams roles out there to be had without a doubt. Sounds like Mims is a lot more excited about him. I just saw Colin's comment here. Well, maybe I'll have to do the MHH swimsuit issue here. But it's a position that definitely in flux, and we really need Mims specifically to step up this season. I'm excited for the piece that Josh Reynolds can be in the overall options on offense, but to expect him to be anything besides a option number 4 or 5 in the offense in the skill position is too much. I mean, if you expect him to be wide receiver 2 and like get the second most targets on this offense this season, or even the third most, I'll lose wide receiver, maybe the third most targets specifically, but you need Mims to step up. That's the outlook this season. If we can get anything from Vele as well, that'd be great. But it's Mims watch here. We have MLA says, I'm used to the hate the Broncos get. It'll make us much sweeter when we start kicking ass. Yeah, that's something that I think that hopefully will happen here pretty soon. But if not this season, we'll see what happens. We got, is this the record you're predicting here? 8-8-1. We got a tie in there. Mile high salute. That'd be great. Jess comes in and says, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. DJ Cape says, I never understand why people want to trade Pat. Dude is still top 5 and young. Sutton can go, but not Pat. Everybody should be available for the right price to a certain extent unless they play quarterback, right? Like you probably cannot accumulate the assets that would be worth it to trade a Josh Allen, a Justin Herbert, a Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud at this point as well. Like those guys, it'd be pretty hard to actually get the draft picks to trade them. You can only trade 3 years worth of draft picks. They're probably worth more than 3 firsts. But there's a value that could be had there, but teams aren't offering it. So I just don't think you trade guys just to trade guys. It seems silly to me. Why go one step forward? Broncos are doing the right things by stripping down. They should have gone further. Trade Sutton, trade Surtain. If the offer was there that was worth it, maybe that happens. It wasn't there. You still have control. Not much more to talk about. I mean, you don't have to do it. Greg Smith says, agree 100%, Nick. Conga says, worst roster by PFF and least improved team. Finally, we're number 1 in something again. Hey, we're number 1 in these morning shows, right, guys? Hopefully. Colin says, if we're going to suck, at least be the best at sucking. I don't know. We'll see. Jess thinks we got a lot better. Again, we have so many moving pieces and unproven commodities on the roster and a lot of opportunities. I mean, that's what 85 million dead cap hit will do, right? You're not going to be able to field the same paid talent as other teams when you have that large of a dead cap hit split over 2 years, but still. So can these young guys hit? Can Denver hit well above expectation or average in their free agency signings, in their draft picks? That's what they have to do to overcome what's going on. And not saying that isn't possible. I mean, we saw the Rams do it last season with a crazy number of day 3 picks hitting at a crazy high level. Maybe guys from that 2023 class step up that we haven't seen so far. Maybe Wazarike and Mathis step up. It's just completely wait and see. But that's kind of what you need for Denver to overcome it's not it's the negative handicap. Handicap's like an advantage, right? I don't golf. It's like a negative handicap. Like you're already starting at +2 from the tee. So that's kind of what the dead cap hit is doing for Denver when it comes to how I perceive the roster. And FC Donnelly is correct. I don't think everything comes down to Bo Nix, but the outlook of the team will obviously come down to Bo Nix. If Bo Nix ends up being a top 15 caliber quarterback this season and ascending talent that looks like he could be a perennial top 10 guy, especially on that rookie contract, reason to be optimistic. Very much reason to be optimistic. If he comes in and looks like Marcus Mariota, Mark Mariota is actually okay his first couple seasons, but if he comes in and looks Kenny Pickett, there's one. I don't think that'll happen. I think he's going to be competent. But we'll see. Again, wait and see, folks. You're not going to get the some other media outlets out there, the big grand sweeping predictions and whatnot that are either inflammatory or way too homeristic. Not my style. Not for me. Jeff says the Broncos aren't beating Mahomes. They beat him last year. Anything can happen. We'll see with the Broncos. That's why you play the game. I know it's an example I use on here often, but the year the Chiefs had the number 1 overall pick would have been, was it 2012? No, 2013. It was the Eric Fisher draft year. They were horrible. Worst team in football, obviously, first overall pick. Packers came to Arrowhead. They were undefeated at that point, I believe, or maybe only had 1 loss, and Chiefs spanked them. NFL, any given Sunday, it's really true. It's not college football where you have Alabama going against some team in the Sun Belt and just whipping on them. There's talent across the league in the NFL, and if you sleep on anybody, they can beat you. Mark Reinhardt comes in and says, good morning, Nick. Let's go Broncos. Hope you're doing well. Also, Zach says, I think all the moves made sense, minus the extensions of McGlinchey, Powers, and Allen. I'd rather see cuts other players than Simmons, but overall makes sense. It wasn't necessarily extension, Zach. It was a restructure of the contract with some dead cap hit. So you're extending the financial burden, but I think the Broncos are okay with that to an extent because they're banking on the salary cap continuing to boom. I don't know if we'll see the same level that we saw last season, but it's probably still going to keep going up. I mean, the NFL is, I don't know if we're approaching too big to fail, but it's a monster. You have really wealthy owners that are okay doing that and pushing that out as well. So I understand what you're saying. Why push the dead cap hits in the future and lose that future flexibility when the window might be much more open? But those are guys they want to keep around, and I think I'm okay with it with Allen. McGlinchey and Powers, I was a little bit, do we have to touch those contracts? But it is what it is. We also got Keith comes in and says, it's tough finding elite talent on this roster, but there's a good to great talent that could break out. a lot of opportunities for guys to break out. We'll see about the obviously, we're really hoping for Marvin Mims to step up. Can Browning / Benito take a step forward? Is there any young defensive line talent? Can like Wazrique's back, man. If Wazrique can become a starting caliber defensive lineman on that 4th round rookie contract, entering year 2 of his contract, that'd be great. You got some young defensive back talent. That'd be great. Obviously, you'd have a Jonah Ellis. We need those guys. We need those young rookie contract guys from the last 3 draft classes to really start to stand out. I know that George Payton and the Broncos staff get a lot of credit for that 2021 draft class, but 2022 and 2023, even without the top draft picks, looks below average return. And when you consider where they were picking, that's not great. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more here from them, and we'll see. There are a lot of opportunities for those guys this year, and I hope it's not one of those things. I think it was the Broncos website that put out like, our 2021 class has played so many snaps. Look how great they are. It's like, well, you've been a bad team. So is it the 2021 class is great? They're good. Was the 2021 class great, or is it that the rest of the roster is missing talent where you're having to play guys that maybe shouldn't play? I don't know if that's true for 2021 guys explicitly, but when a team is poor, I don't know if snap count is always the most indicative of good play. Right? Like if you don't have good talent, then part of the reason you're not winning games is the guys that are playing. Duh. So we'll see with Keith. We'll see what happens, Keith. Hope you're doing well. We also get Jeremy says Peyton gets too much hate. His biggest mistake was Hackett. He's been stripped of that power. The Russ contract was ownership, and he's drafted very well. He also works well with Sean. That 2021 draft was good, but I don't think he's drafted well 2022 and 2023, Jeremy. It's, again, missing your top 50 draft picks, right, in the top 50 overall of the class, but I would say they probably hit below expectation on most of those. I mean, if the only one that for sure is hit above expectation out of the last 2 draft classes, I would say is Nick Benito. That's not great. So we'll see what works out. And I know he gets blame for the Sean Payton or the Hackett was an issue. Hackett trade signing, was an issue, but he should get blamed for the Russell Wilson trade as well. Maybe not the contract so much, but he's in charge of the ship that made the evaluation that this quarterback was worth the trade. I would have done the same thing. I'll be fully clear on that one, folks. But if I'd have made that move in combination with the Hackett move, I would personally expect to be fired. He's not. He's respected in the league. He's by all accounts, a good college evaluator of talent. So we'll see. I think that he really owes Sean Payton a lot for giving him as much leeway as he did, because I don't think this is a very patient league, and I wouldn't have faulted anybody for moving on from George with Sean coming in with all the power, wanting to put his own guy in there. Sean hasn't done that, so I'm impressed by both of them from that perspective. Here we go. We got Jess Canady says, from what I hear, the team has a different vibe, not including the fact that the system's in place in a year already on both sides. Could improve things without a doubt. There's still a lot of like newness on both sides. And something I've said on here as well that I don't think gets enough overall media credit. And maybe it's because I don't, maybe people do talk about it. I really try not to listen to too much of other folks' opinions because I don't like to live in an echo chamber when it comes to football and repeat people's takes. But Denver last year was like one of the most healthy offensive lines in football. I think the 3rd healthiest. 99.6% of their snaps on the offensive line came from starters. That could really change things for the Broncos this season if they have a couple injuries there. I just do not think the depth in the offensive line is very good. Not tested last season. And knock on wood for that one. Man, it's hard to do the solo shows. Just keep on yammering. Give me 1 second for my coffee to drink here. Man. Appreciate everyone coming in and giving me a little grace on that one. We got Unique Prepping says, good morning, Nick. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, 23 draft was Sean. If that's the case, then Sean should shoulder most of the blame. But I don't know all the inner workings there. And I think people who claim to have all the answers on the inner workings don't know everything that goes into the sausage. People tend to overstate what they know in general on the Broncos side. Zach Powers comes in and says, would hate to see Peyton continue his contract strategies in New Orleans. I don't know how the Saints even fix their cap situation. That's a team that definitely needs to rip off the Band-Aid, without a doubt, with the restart here. But we'll see what happens. Is Denver the least improved team on football entering the season? On paper, I think Scott and I talked about it. The big hits for me are Cushenberry, because complete unknown at center behind him. Losing Jewell because I don't think Barton is an improvement. I know Jewell was kind of a whipping boy around Broncos country, but he was solid. You knew what you're getting from him. And he really kept things in structure on defense. And now you're moving to Barton or Griffith. I mean, that's a huge question mark in the room. And then obviously Simmons has been one of the best safeties in football the last 8 years. So those are spots I would expect step back. We'll see about wide receiver. I think cornerback will take a step forward with Wallace. I think the defensive line will take a step forward, edge and interior. It's going to come down to Bo Nix. Maybe that makes you nervous. Maybe that makes you excited. We'll see what happens. Greg Smith, here we go. Off topic, but any hiking in the near future, Nick? I did a hike on Saturday. It was fantastic. I went up to Camp Muir, named after John Muir, the American naturalist, founder of the Sierra Club, one of probably the most famous American naturalist. So I left Seattle at 1:30 a.m., started hiking at about 4:20, and from the Paradise parking lot on the south side of Mount Rainier, and did 9 miles and about 5,000 feet elevation gain. Man, it was tough. I have not been hiking as much this year. I'm still trying, working out. I'm working out this month, or starting last month, and getting in as many steps as I can, but it's hard to replicate the muscles you use doing long hikes. So I haven't done that as much with the little guy here, but hiked up to Camp Muir Saturday. It was so tough, man. I was post-holing almost immediately from the parking lot, which for those that don't know, post-holing is like where you're breaking through the snow. There was snow immediately from the parking lot as well. And when you are going up 5,000 feet in 5 miles and your feet are sinking in, 6 to 12 inches almost every step, takes it out of you, man. That'll kill you. Man, that was sore. My calves are still barking. But it was great. Made it up to Camp Muir. It was awesome. It's the highest point you can get on Camp Muir without a climbing permit. It's the main base camp for people making a summit push as well. So made it up there. Beautiful day. It was really hot though. The sun cooked me. I don't look red. That's great. I put on a lot of sunscreen, but when you're on, skiers will know this. Nothing worse than a sunburn from a bluebird day with the sun reflecting off the snow. So whipped me a bit, but it was really fun. I got a glissade down as well. So glissading is like essentially like luge, right? Bobsledding down on my butt on my hard shell pants. And that saved a lot of time coming down. That makes it all worth it, but a lot of fun. I'm also going to climb Mount Whitney later this year, which is the highest mountain in the contiguous United States. One permits to do that. So that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, man, love the mountains, love getting out there. I want to climb Rainier in 2025, maybe Baker as well. Want to get on all those volcanoes. I've climbed 2 of the 5 volcanoes in Washington so far, and I'd love to do 5 for 5, maybe 6 for 5 if you want to include Hood down there on the Oregon-Washington border. Tyler Brooks says, "Hey Nick, go Broncos! I'm in Pella, Iowa. Hello, Dutchman. Hope you're doing well out there with Central College, right? I'm from the nostril of Iowa out there in the Quad Cities, so always appreciate the Iowa Bronco fans coming in here." DJ Capo says, "If we had a top 10 offensive line, now we have a quarterback with a quick release, we should be dangerous. For all that says Russell Wilson didn't blow games, go back and watch." He did. He also won some games as well with his play. Let's be real, but he wasn't able to operate enough on time within the parameters of what Sean wanted to do. I think the offensive line was top 10, top 12 last season. But again, I go back. I just don't think you're not likely to repeat the same level of health. So that is one thing we'll wait and see. It's a wait and see season, guys. On paper, they weren't good. I don't think they were very good on paper last season. I think they probably won 2 more games than I expected based on the talent on paper. They can do that again this year. I think it was coaching. Special teams was fantastic last season, other than that week 1 game. And we'll see if that can repeat. You might be able to squeeze a few games here or there with coaching toughness and in the margins, penalties, special teams, et cetera, et cetera. So we will see. It's a very wide error bar team this year. I would expect this team to be anywhere from, they could be the worst team in football. They could make a wild card. I mean, the ranges are so big because there's just so many new pieces, and you have a brand new quarterback who you just don't know how he's going to be until you see him on the field. I mean, it happens all the time. I know last season CJ Stroud was special, but you have quarterbacks who are day 2 picks, day 3 picks. They come in and they're immediately amazing, or really good at least. An outlier, but no, Nix doesn't have to be an outlier. 12th overall, right? Even though he was the 5th quarterback selected. 5th? I don't even remember. Whatever it was. 12th overall. 6th. I don't know. But it's all being flushed already. But we'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys so much. We went 40 minutes today. Sorry I got on a little bit late. I'm not trying to cut the shows too short. We've obviously the offseason being a little short, and Scott and Chad have once the super chats, kind of start to slow down a little bit. He's like, okay, well, start to wrap it up. So the super chats are coming on. We're not going to get out of here, but off-season time right now. And again, I appreciate you guys being patient with me this morning. We're trying a new thing where I had been waking up at 4:30 a.m. to feed the baby, and that way he has a full stomach, and then I can come down and do the show. But that's kind of creating a pattern where he's expecting to be fed at 4:30. So we're trying to get that behavior routine out. And of course, I'm about to come downstairs. Wife is taking care of her stuff, and baby wakes up. Well, all right, I guess I'm going to be a few minutes late. So appreciate you guys being patient with me on that front. And we'll be live again tomorrow night. I'm not sure who's going to join me. Carl is busy, but I will be around. And then Scott and I will be back Wednesday morning as well. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, if you think the topics or conversations are negative, I don't personally view them as negative. People can hate, whatever. It's a team that has a lot of questions. Okay. We're fixing to wait to see how it plays out for the Broncos this season. But a lot of question marks, and we're excited to see what happens with the quarterback position. No doubt. It's a new page. It's a new chapter, right? A lot of people are doubting them. I doubt them. Wait and see. And if you want to be a different perspective, you don't agree, fantastic. Great. That's great. So appreciate everyone coming in. Want to shout out to our super chat givers coming in. Troy Boer, Naj, of course, Michael Ronquillo. You guys are killing it. Michael is always a big supporter of the show. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, I think this is possible, Jeremy. Last year we had players who were overrated. This year we have players who are underrated. I'm waiting to see there. Just a lot of question marks. It's fine. We'll see. Also, yeah, Tyler says he lives right across the street from Central College. Yeah, kids, I always enjoyed. I lived in Iowa City for 5 years, and summer when the undergrads left was always a lot of fun. Room to breathe. But appreciate everyone coming in here. Yeah, you guys have to hit up Zach if you want him to join me. I know he's on a lot, so if I was on as much as he was, I'd enjoy my breaks as well. But appreciate everyone coming in. You guys have a great one. Happy Monday. Don't forget it's Father's Day weekend as well, so make sure you call your dad. I know everyone's call your mom. She misses you. Your dad misses you too, even if he doesn't sometimes show it. He probably wasn't brought up in a generation to talk about those things. So make sure you give him a call as well and tell him how much you appreciate him. And maybe I have a different perspective since I'm a new father. It's my first Father's Day, but appreciate you guys. Again, shout out to the Star Givers. Follow me on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH. Also make sure you guys are following us at Mile High Huddle. And of course, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. You guys are fantastic. I will just leave you with one more thing here if I can find it from you guys. I posted it on Twitter talking about my hike. And since I'm in charge here, why not show you guys what I was talking about with that glissade. A lot of fun posting all that stuff and climbing up this last week. But here we go. See if I can even share this with you guys. Appreciate you. Let me chance. Oh man, somebody asked me about hiking. This is my chance. I never get this. All righty. Do we got it up on the screen? No, we don't. Boom. All right, full screen. So God bless. So yeah, you guys have a great one. Slide into your week, kind of like I am downhill here. You guys have a great rest of your day. Continue to choose kindness and compassion. And of course, as I always like to say, go Broncos.